Hi everybody, welcome to today's STEMpump camp. We're continuing on what we did last week with our designing a SwiftUI app with Figma. And so just if you haven't seen the first part, I'll add an iCard here so you can just jump straight into that. And other than that, we can go straight into it. So this is kind of where we ended off last week. We kind of got this layout done. So the scrolls, we have some button interactions here and there. And so today we'll kind of be working on navigation, building out some of these other pages. But yeah, we can go straight into it. The first thing I wanted to try and do was actually like decrease the size of this to like 14, and decrease the size of this to like 6, add a spacing of 4 between it. And honestly, let's see, I probably do like 8, 7. It might be a little bit too small, but I think it looks a lot closer. If I can do like 2 here. Padding for the horizontal, I can go 8. And then padding dot vertical 16. That gives us a little bit more room to play with. I can go 8, I think now. And I think this actually looks better, so we can kind of stick with this. We can go to like 10, but then things kind of start getting cut off. So I think this is around 20, so I think 8 is good here. So yeah, that looks good. Okay, so what we're gonna now do is kind of move, we're gonna kind of make some new files, and start navigation. What I'm first going to do is you can actually hold Command and click on this, and then we're just going to write embed in HStack. We're not actually going to use an HStack. We're actually going to write navigation view, and the whole thing is just going to kind of change. And actually, what I'll do instead is I'll actually wrap the entire layer in the navigation view. I can actually delete this. There we go. And you can kind of see that off the bat, we have a lot more space at the top. And this is because we're essentially now using kind of the similar navigation that you see in most general apps from Apple. So if I write like navigation title, you can kind of see that Tesla shows. But we don't really want that. What we're going to do is we're going to write navigation title. We're just going to call it Mach 5. And then we're also going to add dot navigation bar hidden true. And pretty much like that, we kind of get to hide it away, but we still get to benefit from the navigation. And I'll kind of explain how that works. What we're also going to do is for our let's see if I can do this. Actually, it doesn't really matter. We're going to start off with controls, so this view. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new file, so you can right click and create new file. It's going to be a SwiftUI view. And we're going to call it car controls view. And you now see that we have just a little view that says hello world. And this is where we can edit that view. We can go back to content view. We can find this controls. And we can create a navigation link, which is similar to a button. But it allows us to navigate using iOS's and SwiftUI's navigation stack. So now we can write car controls view, and when we're doing views, we want to add the 2 parentheses, and then just enclose it like this. And you can see all our errors go away. And then if I stop it and I hit play, you can now see that we have a navigation. You can kind of see we have this little back button and whatnot. We're not going to be using this, obviously, but now you can kind of understand how this all kind of works. So what I'll actually do is I'm going to copy all of this just into here so we can kind of maintain our same layout of the backgrounds. We're going to we can remove the navigation view because we only need it on the parent view. We don't really need a Z stack, so I'm just going to make, because we have nothing to overlay, so I can remove this Z stack. With views, if they're in one file, you can use them somewhere else, basically. I'm going to remove this, and I can do that. And all I'm going to really add is this custom divider here. That'll be our only view. And you can kind of see, okay, everything looks good, and I can hit resume, and our errors will go away. And all we're left with is this right here. So we can actually just start building out what we want it to look like. First, let's do this little back arrow. So I'll add an H stack, I'll add a spacer, and I'll add a general button with chevron.left. There we go. And so that's kind of fixed one of our problems so far. And then what we're going to also add is, that's basically already done, is add this title. So what we're going to do is kind of group these, so we can actually just command click vstack, add a text, and we're going to call it car controls. Hit resume. We're going to align this Z stack to be leading, and that works. We're going to add a font .title2, maybe even title. I think we would be good with just going a little bit bigger. I don't think there's any problem with that. Font weight .semi-bold, and then maybe the current spacing, if it's like 20, so maybe 10. I think we can get away with 10. I think that looks pretty good. So yeah, we have that so far. So we can actually go back to this view right here, and if I hit resume, so now that this is loaded, we can kind of see what happens. I can click on this, but now we can't go back. And the reason we can't go back is because we removed our navigation bar. So what we're going to add is we're going to add something called a environment wrapper, and it's basically going to allow us to dismiss this view, which basically means go back. And so we're going to write @environment, and then we're going to do \presentation mode var presentation mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this in a button, so button action, paste this in here, and then inside the action we're going to write presentation mode .wrapped value .dismiss. Again, wait, resume. Just clicking on this right now won't do anything because we are not in a navigation view. So we can go back here, and if I kind of go to this, you can see if we click on it, it allows us to go back. You can't do the back swipe thing, but there's code that you can add later on to enable that functionality once again. Yeah, it doesn't let us do if it's like, see, most likely because of the home indicator. You can now see that we have this. Okay, cool. So let's add the rest of our little functionality here. Below the custom divider, we can add a unlock car thing. And essentially how this is going to look is like so. We're actually going to use something called a label. You can do Command-Shift-L to bring up a little panel like this, or you can hit the plus button right here, and you can just search. So we're going to write a label. And you can see we can add a lock.fill. Alright, sorry, not there. messed it up. There you go. Cool. And we kind of get the functionality out of the box. We're going to use the system font to kind of style it a little bit differently. So that looks pretty good. Maybe go medium on it. I actually really don't like how big that is anymore. Let's go to title 2. I think that looks a lot more neater. And honestly, well, we can go with 16. I think 14 just feels a little bit nicer. And then what we'll do is we'll add a frame. We'll add a max width of .infinity. We'll also set a background. And I'm actually going to go back to our general button to kind of see how we did that. I think we used like what, the dark gray. We'll just honestly just take. Actually, we can. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, we did this for a very specific reason, and I'll explain why. I'll copy this and honestly just kind of paste it. Resume. And move these. Move that. We're gonna put this frame behind there. Move the clip there. We're gonna add padding. And the padding actually should go before the background. Cool. And actually, instead of even doing this, I'm just gonna use our dark. Actually, no, I'll just use that. That works. Honestly, that's fine. And then we have a problem here. We want it to round. So what we'll actually do is a clip shape, a rounded rectangle, corner radius 14. Continuous. I like continuous over circular. If you want to do circular, you can literally just do a corner radius. That's like that. But I like overlay. I mean a clip shape because I can just copy paste the shape that we clip, and it kind of just works out for us because of how overlay and stroke work together. So what I'm going to do is we're actually going to write command click this and write extract subview. And then we're going to name it car lock button. And then also here, just so we can get the little cool animation, we'll wrap it in a button. Cool. And so I'll hit Control I to indent it all. And we won't really see any difference, but that's okay. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a custom divider below it. And we're going to just add all these buttons. And these are all pretty easy. I'm just going to go, we can always do a grid if we to do it, but I'm just going to add a few general buttons. Actually, we don't, not general buttons, the action buttons. They're going to have an action item attached to them. And actually what we're going to do is let's create some of these action items. So we're going to create right here, let's let action equal, car controls equal, and it's actually, we're going to add a colon and this square brackets with the word action item, so it knows that's an array of action items. Action item icon text, and we have 5 of these. 3, oh, I messed it up. 3, 1, 4, and then 5. And let me get what these icons are called. So the first one will be a flashlight on.fill. The next one will be, the next icon will be a speaker wave 3. The next one will be key.fill. Then we have the front trunk one, which would be arrow.up, which I didn't know what icon to choose, so I just did arrow.up.bin. And then our last icon will be arrow.up.square. And then our titles will be flash, honk, start, front trunk, and then trunk. Resume. Alright, so now that we have our array of car control action items written out, we're just going to do a really quick way to align this little grid we have here. We can't really do it easily with lazy grids, so we're just going to kind of use spacers to kind of do it. So we can actually just make an H stack, and we'll write action button, and it's going to ask for an item, and we're going to do car controls, so we can it'll get this array, and we're going to square brackets and write 0. This will get the first item. In arrays, we'll start with 0 instead of 1, and so just assume, when we say, 0, it's the first item, 2, it's the 1, it's the second item, and so on and so on. So I can just kind of paste this 3 times, and I'll just change these out. Then I'll wrap this in a VStack, do that again, I'll delete these 2 lines, and then just change it to 3 and 4. And so that matches up pretty well. I'm going to add some spacing of 20, just to kind of give us more space. And we can actually tighten it by adding a padding around it. And I think I just like the default padding. Yeah, we're just going to pad around it. Then we're going to extract that as a subview. And we're just going to call it car control actions. And sometimes it lets you rename it, other times it doesn't. We're at a custom divider. Hit resume. And it's running into that same weird problem where it just doesn't show. That's okay. And we're going to add this little valet mode button. So we can add text, write valet mode, add a spacer. Then we're going to add a toggle. And we're going to just add a we don't need a label. We just remove it. I can just do that, I think. It's going to crash because we need a value here. And we're going to do something that's called create a state. And we won't really be talking about states a lot today. That'll be part 3 is a lot of state work. But we will be, just kind of writing it here so you can kind of understand. And it's kind of the same way we wrote environment. So at state, we'll do private, doesn't really matter, var, toggle valet equals false. You can add bool just so you can be sure of it. And essentially, with states, we can change their values. So with a boolean, we can change true or false. And so I'll kind of add, you can add a $sign and write toggle valet, and we'll hit resume. We don't really need anything there. We can leave it blank, cool. And we can hit resume. And it should default to false now. And so when we toggle it, it's true and false. And we can actually, let's just add something to make sure that we can track it after kind of styling this out. We'll do medium. Okay, and there's our little thing. Yeah, that works. So what we're going to do is we'll add just a little piece of text here. If toggle valet, and this is the same thing as if writing equals true. The double equal signs means we're checking if it's equals. So if toggle valet, then we're just going to write valet mode is on. And you can kind of see it now. So if I toggle it, you can kind of see that it reacts. So this means this value is false. When I check it, this value is now true. So that's just a quick way so you can kind of see how they react. All right, cool. So that is our car controls view done. Now let's work on getting our location view done. This will be a little bit challenge to do the maps, but it'll be worth it in the end. All right. And we don't really scroll here, so we can leave that like like so. It doesn't really matter. You can go back to content view, and you can kind of see controls. We can toggle it. We can go back, and yeah, I mean, it's just really simple navigation and such. Awesome. So let's add a new view, new file, SwiftUI view, and we're going to call it location view. Create. And we're going to do another thing. We're going to create another file, new file. It's going to be a normal Swift file, and we're just going to call it common components. And we're going to it's going to say import foundation. We're also going to write import SwiftUI. Cool. And now what we're going to do is going to start copy pasting a lot of our common features. So general button and custom divider are both general features or components because we use them on several different views. Category header, not really. I mean, we only really use it on the main view. Action buttons and action items for sure are common components. I don't think anything in here is a common component. This button definitely is. So what we'll do is we'll actually just take, we're going to actually copy this, and we're going to create two components. We're going to actually, no, let's call it, we're going to call it a full button, and it's going to have a var has icon equals to false. Okay, cool. And then we're also going to ask for var text string. And so that works like that. We'll remove the button just so we can, we can add it if we really want it. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually add another sum view. So we're going to add var icon button sum view, and then we'll just kind of literally boom paste it var icon string equals, and honestly we'll just remove that, and then we'll add a var text button sum view. It's gonna kind of get frantic, and just replace this top with a text that has text inside of it, and this with text, and this with icon, and literally in here we can say if icon dot is empty, go text button, else icon button. Cool. Okay, so this is all happy now. Now in car controls, what we're going to do is we can actually just keep this. We're going to actually remove this. We're going to call it full button. Unlock car. Cool. So now if I hit resume, oh, that's extra. It all looks and acts the exact same. We can always add modifiers, and a modifier allows us to kind of chain a lot of these together, and we can just apply them as single property modifiers. We can just like merge all these into a single one, but for the sake of time, we'll just kind of keep it simple. Alright, so location view. Now this one will indeed have a Z stack, so I'll add a Z stack to it. And just kind of, I guess, even looking back at how this view is structured, we can really just take a lot of these ideas and just paste it. Not even ideas, just take a lot of this functionality and just use it off the bat. Cool, you can do that. We're also going to need this environment presentation view. Right, cool. And so we'll actually remove this just for the sake of it, so we can kind of get a bearings of what our view looks like. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just kind of remove all of this right now. And so this is what we're left with. What we're first going to do is, honestly, we can even just get rid of that. We're just going to remain on this. So we're going to add a stack, add a spacer. We're going to add a action, or no, a button. I actually don't like that button. Stop. We're going to add a button. And it's going to be a general button on the inside. The icon is this speaker one. Cool. So that should kind of pop up. And the other one will be the back button that we literally just had here. So this button, we can copy paste. I know we deleted it, but we'll need it. And you'll see that we have two icons now. One does a little click. Cool. And then we'll wrap this in a VStack, send it to the top, and just add a padding around it. Cool. So that kind of gets us pretty close to what that looks like. The sizing, I'm not too worried about it. All right. So what we're going to do is we're now going to add a map view, which will be kind of interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a state first that control where our view currently is. So private var region, not even region, I'll just do location equals mk coordinate region. I think I have to import map kit right now, so let me import that. Map kit, there we go. Okay, mk coordinate region. And we're going to have a few different values. We're going to have a center, and the center will be a CL location coordinate 2D with its own latitude and longitude. And then, let's see, we'll also need a span, and this will be an MK coordinate span with a latitude delta and a longitude delta. And we're going to use the Empire State Building latitude and longitude. And so the latitude is 40.7484 and then 73.9587. And we're just going to set these both as 0.5. We're going to hit resume, and it shouldn't complain. Then we're going to do is we're going to add a map view, and it's with this map view, or not even a map. I can just write map. It's not map view. It's just map. And our coordinate region is going to be location. And honestly, we can just hit this. Don't know where we are in the world. We definitely are in the wrong area. So maybe change the longitude. Maybe make it negative. There we go. Yeah, because it's west. So negative. Cool. And we can mess with our longitude deltas and our latitude deltas. Hit resume. And we zoom out a lot more. So let's actually just go to 0.00 to see how close we really get in. I have no clue. Oh, there we go. This is Long Island City, in the wrong area. There it is. Maybe that's too much of a, yeah, it's very much off. So we'll kind of set it to 0.01. Resume. And yeah, I mean, let me see, did I mess up the longitude latitude numbers? I don't think so. Oh, it's 8.5. That's why not. 8.5. 8.5.7. Let's resume. There we go. And now if I like go in, I should get a much better result. There we go. Okay. I was worried there for a second. And I'll actually just like jump even closer, to be honest with you, and just kind of see how close you can really get in to kind of match this. That's not that helpful. And increase it. Yeah, that works. All right, so now that we've set this up, let's add our car to this map. We didn't do it in the design, but it's kind of cool to do so. What we're going to first do is create a struct, basically a new data structure, and we're going to call it car location. We're going to call it identifiable, so every location, if we have several cars, can be unique. And we're going to have an ID, so an identifier. It's going to be equal to a UUID, which is just a universal unique value. We're going to give it a name. Actually, we don't even really need a name, so we'll just keep that. We'll give it a longitude, or latitude. It'll be a double. Let longitude equal a double as well. We're going to create a coordinate. Let coordinate equals, it's going to be an MK, or not MK, sorry. It's going to be a CL location coordinate 2D. And it's actually going to be built off of our two previous latitude and longitude values. I'll make that var, sorry, not let. Cool. We're going to create let car locations equals car location. And we're literally just going to set it to the same exact latitude and longitude. Right there. Alright, and that's basically all we really need to do when it comes to setting up how this works. It's going to complain about, oh, I forgot that. Cool. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to add annotation items, and that's going to be equal to car locations. Then annotation content, we're going to write location in, and now we're going to call it, we're going to write car pin. Actually, sorry, not carpin. Map annotation coordinate, and we'll write location dot coordinate. We don't really need an anchor point, so we can remove that. And then here we're just going to write car pin, and now let's create our car pin. We can just do struct car pin view bar body sum view. Cool. And literally here, let's just write car. Hit resume. Now, need to add these. Cool, succeeded. And we can hit resume. You can see very lightly it says car, so let's kind of update that. What we're going to do is we're going to create a VStack. In the top, we're going to have an image or an icon, system.name, car.fill. We're going to add a padding around it. Not even a padding, let's just give it a frame. A frame, the width is going to be 24, the height is going to be 24, the background color, I forgot if we added a red color, did we? Yeah, we have our own custom red. Red. Resume. Actually, let's do 48. No, 32 by 32. Let's add a clip shape. That's a circle. Foreground car dot white. So you can kind of see the car is right there. Then we can add text beneath it. Mach 5. One of the problems with writing just general text on here is that whatever content's underneath it, like for example right now this blank thinks my Wi-Fi is being weird, it doesn't help us that much. But what we can do is we can add padding around our text, and then we can add a background, and we write ultra thick material, And then we can also provide, say, in rounded rectangle, we can add a corner radius of maybe 8 on a continuous curve, and it becomes a little bit more legible to read. And it essentially blurs the app's background, I guess. And we can have a lot of different options. So you can go ultra thin material. That one we can kind of see a little bit better. And there's like a lot of different materials. You can try material, and you got thin, thick. Let's go with ultra thin for now. And then mess with this. We go horizontal 8 dot padding dot vertical 4, and that looks a lot better. We can also add a cool. That's it's like kind of loading in. We can add a font weight of medium. Make the font itself maybe a footnote. Oh, sorry. Font. And you can kind of see it looks already a lot better. And just to kind of round it out, I'll add an overlay. Dot stroke. And I'll do color dot black dot opacity 0.1. Like a line width of 0.01 as well, 5. You can kind of see if I did 1 looks pretty good, I think. And I'll also add an alignment to the center, just so it wants to try and center inside of the little circle. Yeah, let's go 36. I don't know why it's not wanting to align. Cool. So right there we have that. We have our buttons at the top. So those are pinned. What we're now going to do is actually add this little gradient fade here. And that's actually also really, really easy. We can just add it here to our we can write gradient. It will be a linear gradient. And we can go from top to bottom. And what we'll do is to color dark gray. And we'll honestly just go to color dot transparent, or color dot clear, sorry. And you can see that looks pretty good, but we're gonna change, just gonna add another one, just so we can kind of get more at the top. And that looks pretty good, but now we can't really drag. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a allow hit testing false, and now we're able to still drag around our map, irregardless of the gradient that's in the way. Okay, what we're also going to do is we're actually going to leave this full screen, and we're going to add this underneath it. So we can do that, and that once again, we can add a VStack, add a spacer, and we can actually just copy those things, and we're going to add another VStack, and inside this VStack, we're going to have some padding. Actually, we'll just do a full width VStack. Padding in it, and then we can literally start adding just text. So location, pretty like standard stuff, and now we can like copy this, resume, location. I'm going to align it to leading. And if that doesn't work, always just add that. Alignment.leading. Cool. I'm going to add a custom divider. And also, we remember that our spacing was 20 on this. 20. We can add that, resume. Cool. I'm going to add a label. And the label is literally, I'm just going to copy and paste this text, which is the address of, so we have that. And then we're also going to obviously get, the navigation, or the location like icon that we have right there. And that icon, I'm pretty sure should just be like location.fill. Cool. We're going to add an opacity of 0.5 to it. I'm going to make, let me see, can I apply the font dot subheadline? Honestly, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll go footnote. Then what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of, we can kind of group these ones, I guess, into their own little thing. We make it 10. And then I'm going to extract, honestly, this whole thing out, or extract subview. I'm just going to call it car location panel, because it's just kind of at the bottom. Cool. Hit resume. Then we're going to add the little summon features. And so I'm literally just going to paste this. But I'm going to write summon. I'm going to make this maybe a title 3. I don't know if that's small enough. I don't think so. So let's go headline. I'm going to add a normal piece of text. And it's just going to say, press, control, whatever. Remove that. Okay, I can remove that. Yeah, this is fine. We don't need you either. Yeah, awesome. There's a divider there. I don't know why it's being annoying. I wish it wasn't. And then, obviously we don't need this. But we can use a full button with text that says go to target. And then as well as an H stack with 2 of these with our arrows. And this one can literally just be icon text. So we can say forward arrow.up. And the reason I'm adding text is just because I think it's easier to read. And then, of course, backward arrow down. We never really styled this. Opacity 0.5. Footnote. And then I'm also actually just going to drop this into their own VStack. I'm just going to copy these, but make it 5, make them really tight to each other, because they're related functions. And yeah, I mean, there's our view. This thing's still being wonky, but yeah. All right, so let's attach this to our main view. We can do that once again by just adding this navigation link, and then just writing location view. I'm going to stop it. We're also going to add the same navigation link, actually, to the summon feature, I think, if we're able to do that. And we might not. I don't really care, actually. Never mind. And so we have location. So it brings me a car location. You can play around with this, and you can kind of see how this all plays around. And yeah, one thing we can actually do is we can go into, we can actually hit the pin button right here, and it'll keep it on the page. Is we can actually go to our common components, and for general button, we could actually just comment this out. Honestly, comment this out as well. And if we hit resume, you'll see all of our backgrounds will kind of just pop out. Cool. We can actually just add a background. We can try this. Ultra thin material, or maybe an ultra thick material. No, definitely ultra thin. Things are a little bit brighter. Material in a circle. And so with this, things are brighter, so we need to figure out how to fix that. But then you get, when you do this, you can kind of see it blurs underneath it. So what we're instead going to do is, just to kind of finish this out, is we're going to do color if blur this, else and it's going to get mad. So never mind, we won't do that then. Because, or actually, var. Let me just double check. I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't work. Yeah, okay. We can't really do that in comparison because they output different values. But if you like that design style, you can always go with that. For now, we're just going to stick with our clip shape and our normal one. Okay, awesome. So that is, I guess, the end of today's part. We were able to do navigation and build out the rest of our two views. So we have now we have our control view, which has this. We have a little toggle right here that has a button functionality. We can also go to our location. We have a little map view here, which you can drag around. It has a little pin for where our car is and an address, as well as these summon buttons right here, as well as the navigation to go back. In the next part, we're actually going to be doing all of these components and just having them do slide-ins and such, as well as making all of them adjustable with states and talking about how all of that works. So yeah, see you next time. Yeah, and have a good day, night, or whatever.